Merry Christmas, kids. Yes, yes. I think yesterday was Christmas. So we're going to say Merry Christmas for the next 12 days or 11 days starting yesterday. The 12 days of Christmas, we're not going to get into that. I believe Bill Federer has already explained that on a previous program. By the way, if you want to watch our programs, go to the YouTube channel, go to my YouTube channel, please, because there's so many great folks that I have interviewed, and I know I'm not able to, I can't get it all in one show. So if you're missing stuff, sign up for the YouTube channel, Eric Metaxas YouTube channel. Before we go to Sidney Powell, my guest today, Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell is a true American hero. She has really gone through hell. She's a deeply good woman, a woman of great Christian faith. She's a hero. She's brave, and she's been put through it. As many of you know, she was clear that the election was stolen when it was stolen. She tried to speak out about it. They put her through hell. Many of us knew the election was stolen when it was stolen, and we were told, oh, shut up, you can't talk about that, which is the biggest clue, like, oh, maybe I should talk about it. Nobody's going to tell me to shut up. This is a free country. People have died. Patriots have died so that we can speak truth in America, and we will not be censored by people who tell us we have no right to speak. We're Americans. We have rights, inalienable rights given to us by the one who created us. And so many of us spoke about the stolen election when it happened, and we thought, surely this has to get out. And we went through hell, 4+ years of hell, but it's now getting out. Thank God. It has to get out. Most Americans simply need to know the truth. Not everybody's going to be exercised toward doing anything about it. A lot of people are lazy or indifferent or selfish. They don't care. But a lot of people are wise enough to care and to understand this affects you and your children. And so a lot of this stuff is coming out. The last time I had Sidney Powell on this program, she really couldn't talk about some of this stuff because it was ongoing, as they say. And so now today we're going to talk to her about it. So, by the way, if you still are looking for Christmas gifts, even though Christmas sort of has passed, not really, because we have 12 days of Christmas, I declare, go to ericmetaxas.com. The number one thing I recommend is freeing a slave. You click on the banner for CSI. To do that in somebody's name, folks, that is just the most meaningful thing you could do, whether as a gift or not. Do it as a gift to God, because you know he wants us to do what we can for his purposes. And we're blessed and we can do that. Many of us can do that. All of us can do something. But go to ericmetaxas.com. You'll see the link, the banner. Click on it, and that's that. So when we come back, I cannot wait talking to Sidney Powell. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to have as my guest the great Sidney Powell. Sidney, I get cheered up just looking at you here. You've been such a hero. I don't even know where to start. How about Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas to you, Eric, and I hope everyone that watches and listens has had a wonderful Christmas also.
I just going to say, and Christmas doesn't stop. There are 12 days of Christmas, folks. I guess, well, you're wearing like a Christmas outfit. I guess I sort of am, not quite, but you look really festive. Thank you for dressing the place up. I'm encouraged just by that.
I have a collection of Christmas sweaters, Christmas purses, pretty much Christmas everything.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure you want to share that publicly? And I think that's between you and your God. People don't need to know that. No, you really do. You're not making this up. You really do.
No, I'm not making this up. Okay, so
you just showed me something. I show the audience. Yeah, there we go.
Here is one of 4 wooden unique Santa Claus purses that I have found different places.
Carved by Santa Claus himself, folks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing, because usually the elves do a lot of the carving, but in this case, Santa himself carved that purse. Where in the world, and I have to ask you, where in the world did you find a carved Santa Claus purse?
Well, my mother gave me one of them like 30 years ago. My husband gave me two of them, and I found one, the largest one, that I probably should have brought today because he has the fur and everything on the wooden purse and jewels along his, the edge of his hat. I found him at a heritage auction about 10 Christmases ago.
10 Christmases ago. That sounds like a Christmas carol. 7
Yes.
Christmases ago this very night. So we're Sydney. Oftentimes I forget to. For me, it's more fun than talking about current events. To ask people about themselves. Where did you grow up? Where did you celebrate your first Christmases as a kid?
I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, in a pretty much old fashioned 50s, I would say, home where my mother stayed home and took care of me and my little brother. And my dad went to work. For a long time, we only had one car. She would drive him to work and bring the car back on days she needed to run errands or go to the grocery store or whatever. And he was a World War II veteran who had so much integrity. I mean, he just had the greatest sense of integrity of any person I've ever known. He literally would not take a personal phone call at his work because his time belonged to his boss, and he would not bring a pencil home from work because it wasn't his. He won a Distinguished Flying Cross during World War II. He was among the only 10% of the 8th Army Air Corps that survived all the flights they took over Germany. I think he did 26 bombing missions over Germany. And the last one, the plane was so shot up, he literally had to hold the fuel line together with his bare hands to get the crew back across the English Channel.
Holy guacamole. Oh my God. I didn't expect to hear something like that. That is,
Yeah.
you see, now, this is interesting. Part of the reason I ask these questions about, you and your background is because it gives us an insight into how do you get to be Sidney Powell? How do you get to be the woman that you are, who has stood so bravely and heroically? And part of the answer, folks, is you get to have a dad like the one that you just described. And I know I've said this many times myself that who I am, largely I owe to my father, Nick Metaxas, who went to be with Jesus a year and a half ago. But I mean, the more time passes, the more I realize his sacrifice, his integrity made me who I am. And so each of us has a job because how you behave affects those around you. What a privilege each of us has. But it's just so good to know a little bit about you, Sidney, because, you and I were always talking about the current events and what's going on, which I want to do now, but I'm happy to hear about that because I think sometimes people do want to know, how did she get to be that person who stands up when everybody else is like, running, for cover. And so you have really been through it. Where
Faith played a very important role too in our household. Both my parents were active in the Presbyterian Church, and my mother was a very strong woman of great faith, as were my grandmothers and my grandfathers as well. In fact, one grandfather started a Presbyterian church in Durham, North Carolina. And mom and dad were both very active in our church in Raleigh. Dad was an elder and mom was a church secretary as a volunteer for a while. And, God was just part of my life from the second, actually before I was born, I'm sure.
Well, that's another part of the story. I mean, my dad dragged us to church every Sunday. I usually didn't want to go, but there's something that happens, folks. There's something that happens, and that's the backbone of this country. If you want to know how America came into being, I'm writing a book now on the American Revolution called Revolution, and the story it's a story of faith. It's utterly inescapable. You would never get the United States of America without profound Christians living out their Christian faith. John Adams, Samuel Adams at the top of the list. It's amazing. Patrick Henry and on and on and on. It's beautiful. We get to be a part of this great country, but Christian faith is at the heart of it. And so I'm glad, Sidney, to know that about you as well. I would have guessed it, I think, just from knowing you a little bit, but
I could not have withstood everything I have withstood in the last 5 years in particular, had I not known Emmanuel. I mean, God is with us, and all you have to do is pay attention to it and accept it. And God will walk with you through anything you have to go through and give you the strength to do it.
I can relate to that, not nearly on the level that what you've been through, but there's no doubt about it that when you walk through it with the Lord, it's different. You can walk through it when you walk with Him, and He walks with you. And I'm glad you shared that as well. Where are we now with regard to the 2020 election? Recently, President Trump said we've got truckloads of information. He seems clearly to know that the 2020 election was stolen. I mean, because in the last 4 or 5 years, we've watched as some people completely denied it. And if you said it, oh, you're a lunatic. And that has shifted and shifted and shifted, where I think we're beginning to get more and more and more clarity and proof. Where do you think we are right now with it?
I think they have all the evidence they need to prosecute criminally for many offenses if they have the courage and whatever fortitude it takes to do that. As I understand it, there are witnesses in the country who were part of it who are ready to testify. And I don't know if anybody has secured their testimony in front of a grand jury or not. Grand jury proceedings are secret and can be kept that way for a long time. But if they haven't been, they need to be. And I hope our Department of Justice will get after that, because the American people are entitled to know that we really probably have not had a completely honest election in 24 years.
Well, what always bothers me is when people are not scandalized. I mean, when I remember in, the day after the election in 2020, thinking, wait a minute, something's wrong. And being shocked at how few people cared, how few people were willing to ask questions. I thought, you don't deserve to live in the United States of America if you don't care about this. You don't deserve to live here. Patriots have died, bled and died. You just mentioned your father, going through hell for his country. So many people have suffered, and so many people have died for this country that we could be free. And to just think, oh, I just got a free ride and I get to live here and I don't really care and I don't feel like I have to do anything about it. Shame on you if you have that attitude. We've all got to put our shoulders to the wheel in this. And you, Sidney, I mean, you have really been through it. There are so many pieces to this too. I mean, the level of corruption, to live in a culture where there is that much corruption, where there's corruption in the media, that they're not willing to talk about this kind of stuff, or they just thought, well, I know which side, my bread is buttered on, and I don't want to tell that story. And I thought, wow, that is the beginning of the end. You can't have a country if you don't have enough people that care about this stuff.
Our mainstream media seems to have completely sold out, and it did it a long time ago, at least 10 years, if not 20 years ago. I think the big change happened in 2000, and then with the passage of the Patriot Act after that, and then Obama took that surveillance state that was created to protect us from foreign enemies and turned it against what he perceived to be domestic enemies, which is anyone who believes the United States should protect itself and put America first and not hemorrhage for every other country in the world while we just dwindle.
Well, do you think, I mean, I guess to me, there are signs of great hope. I mean, CBS putting Barry Weiss at the head of its news division, I thought, that's amazing. In other words, there are enough folks out there, not many, but a few, who seem to care about what we would call reality and truth. And if you care about that, I mean, for CBS to have the wisdom to say, maybe we need to tack toward the center, and to actually do that, not to double down on the woke lunacy, but to say that maybe we need to take a different path. I mean, that gives me hope. I mean, they're not going to be Newsmax tomorrow, but the point is that We need a lot more of this, but that alone, there seem to be signs of hope. Hey there, folks. Quick word from today's sponsor. When you hear about rockets, drones, missiles, or a terror attack in Israel, somebody has to rush in after the sirens. That is Magen David Adom, Israel's National Emergency Medical Service, basically Israel's 911. They dispatch every ambulance in the country, take thousands of emergency calls every day, and they also collect, process, and distribute the nation's blood supply for civilians and the IDF. Since October 7th, Magen David Adom says they've lost 40 of their people, medical professionals, and 17 ambulances have been destroyed or disabled. And yes, sometimes medics and ambulances are intentionally targeted. But here's what's incredible. 90% of their 37,500 EMTs, paramedics, and first responders are volunteers. 90%. They keep showing up, yet they need the basics, bandages, blood reserves, medical supplies, ambulances, and training. If you have a heart for Israel, please give whatever you can. Every dollar matters. SavingLifeIsrael.org. There seem to be signs of hope.
I agree with that, and I'm glad to see every bit of it. I mean, we just need everyone writ large to move toward honesty and truth and decency and morality to get things straightened out here. We're still a long way from it. There is much work to do, and each one of us needs to do it, starting in our own homes.
Would you guess that a lot of the names we could mention, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, and on and on and on. Do you think people keep asking this? We've asked this for months and months, whether they'll be held to account. I mean, it seems that if they're not, you really can't have a country if people are allowed to get away with what they've done. I mean, they've done unbelievably wicked things.
I agree. There must be accountability for that, and not simply by telling us what they did. Those people have committed serious crimes by all the evidence any of us have seen, and I can't believe there isn't a lot more, and that needs to be handled appropriately in the Department of Justice with likely prosecutions.
Do you have any sense of the culture of the DOJ, of the culture of the FBI? In other words, I know that you can't change it overnight. I just don't know. I don't have any sense of how these bureaucracies work or what's going on. Do you have a sense that it's being dealt with? I mean, I get the impression the president understands that this needs to be dealt with. So I can't, it would be very hard for me to think that he's going to let this stuff slide.
I'm concerned about people that he has put in certain positions. I was appalled at the Vanity Fair articles that Susie Wiles did, absolutely appalled. And I think she probably had a significant role in choosing Pam Bondi to lead the Department of Justice. I am not looking for that job, by the way. I have a job and am not seeking to be the Attorney General, but someone needs to be the Attorney General who knows how to prosecute federal cases. And I don't think Pam ever did that. And the Department of Justice needs a massive culture change, as does the FBI. They've been allowed to deteriorate for so long. It's going to take, I mean, it's like Hercules cleaning out the Augean stables to fix both places.
And by the way, folks, if you don't get that reference, you need to look that up. It's we know we're in a fallen world, and we know that great people are not perfect. And I think a lot of people wonder what's going on with Pam Bondi. I have over and over again on X or whatever said that I wish they would force you to take that job, hire General Flynn. There are people that are not part of the administration that I wish were part of the administration. I do trust the president, but I sometimes wonder, I think most Americans wonder what's going on. The time is short. We don't have a lot of time. We've got to get serious. And I think that if a tenth of what these folks have done is brought to light and prosecuted, it's going to be monumental. I mean, we're talking about scandals that are unlike anything in the history of the nation. There's nothing to compare. Watergate is not 10% of what we're talking
Watergate
about.
was a setup.
It,
Watergate was a setup to take
well,
down Nixon.
I was going to say Watergate, but I'm saying even if it weren't the setup, when you talk about what
Right.
happened, and it was a setup, but I'm saying that when people say, well, Watergate is nothing, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any sense of history, you understand that what we're talking about now is just, there is absolutely nothing to compare with it. Nothing.
No,
There's nothing to compare with it.
this was a coup of the United States of America, and the trillions of dollars of wealth and business transactions and all kinds of things that go with that. And I think I said that back on November 19 of 2020.
Well, what can you do about it, I guess? So let me put it on you, Sidney Powell. You're an amazing woman. What can you do about this? What are you doing about this?
Well, other than raising my voice at every opportunity, I don't know of a lot I can do about it. I mean, I certainly write about it. We put out a lot of information at defendingtherepublic.org, and everyone can sign up for our newsletters.
Say it
I
again.
hope they will. Defendingtherepublic.org.
Uh-huh.
And we write about these topics and keep people advised of what's going on in the real media, not the fake media. And we're just fighting every way we can to show the corruption and encourage people that do have the power to prosecute it to do something about it.
What is your sense of this, the conspiracy thing, that the statute of limitations, if the conspiracy goes up into the present or whatever, isn't there something happening is it the Southern District of Florida right now? I'm not clear on the details, but isn't there something along these lines that I've heard about that is happening?
I believe there is. I've heard Mike Davis from the Article 3 Project speak about it, and he's probably the most informed on it. And yes, there has been a continuing conspiracy that would, if indicted properly, certainly takes it outside any statute of limitations issue that might have been alleged.
I guess when I think of folks like you and General Flynn, I think I wonder if there is a fear that some people have that it would be too traumatic for the country to have Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama hailed in front of Congress to answer for what they've done. Because if they have done anything close to what we think they've done, what happens? I mean, how do you deal with something of that level? We've never seen anything like that in America.
They should be treated just like any other person. That's what the rule of law is all about. I mean, our country is founded on the rule of law. That's one of the things that most importantly distinguishes us from other countries. And that means everyone is equal in the eyes of the law without regard to their political station or anything else. We cannot let people who have committed gross crimes be absolved of them simply because they were presidents or secretaries of state or anything like that. And lots of people in government try to protect the institutions of government when the institutions of government are supposed to protect the people of the United States. And the Constitution itself was written to protect the people of the United States from the government. So our problem has always been the government. It has far too much power, and people in the government are not held to account like they should be. So if anybody wants to fix it, they're going to have to prosecute some of the people that have been in government. The real criminals that have been in government, not making up anything against them at all, not making up any facts, not making up any legal charges like they did against President Trump and, frankly, me at every turn. That's not appropriate. But if the facts indicate real crimes, regardless of who that person is, Brennan, Clapper, or any of them, they should be prosecuted.
Well, I completely agree. But the reason I asked the question is because I wonder if there are people who shrink from that. There are people who say, well,
definitely. Definitely. There are gutless wonders everywhere out there. I mean, there are U.S. attorneys now that should be prosecuting some of these things. If I remember correctly, Pam Bondi sort of weakened the public integrity section in D.C., which I think was a mistake, but did give U.S. attorneys the authority to prosecute those. So it doesn't have to be out of Washington. The U.S. attorneys need to get active in their own districts. There certainly needs to be a criminal investigation of the fraud that all the Somalians have committed.
I think
And
the president put Scott Bessent on that.
Good. Well, there are multiple U.S. attorneys that probably should have cases going on that now, because I believe it happened in multiple states. And then there are the probable offenses of Governor Tim Walz that the U.S. attorney in Minnesota could be looking into and should be looking into. It's everywhere. All of it needs to be investigated thoroughly and then charges brought if appropriate.
Well, this is some of the most wicked stuff, folks. Again, I think that almost we don't have anything to compare it to. I mean, this is, I say over and over, it's the third existential crisis of our history as a nation. We had the revolution, we had the Civil War. This is the third existential crisis. You lose the nation or you save the nation. But this is not just some small crisis or something we're working out. We've come to a point where either we deal with this evil, the subversion of the will of we the people. That's as wicked as it gets. That's putting a bullet in the head of Lady Liberty and Uncle Sam. And if you don't care about it, folks, you don't deserve to live in this country. But we'll say it again, patriots have died, have suffered, so that we could have these freedoms, so we could have the rule of law. And so I think my guess, Sidney, is that this stuff is being dealt with. It is frustrating, the pace, and I don't know whether, I thought President Trump put out a post on Truth Social maybe 3 weeks ago, pushing Pam Bondi to get serious. I was kind of shocked by that's how you communicate with your attorney general, to goad her to action as though you need to do that. I mean, when you get to that point, I think it's the only thing to do is say, next, thank you for your service. Right. I don't know. Really don't know what to say.
And then he walked it back in another post the next day talking about how great she was.
I really don't get it. I really don't get it. Look, I don't know enough. I'm happy to be ignorant of, the details of Susie Wiles and on and on. I mean, look, I think that there are a lot of people that, maybe they're not where we are, but whether they're more force for good, I don't know. I do trust the president, but I think he has a sense that he can go down in history as practically our greatest president ever if he deals with this now. And if he doesn't deal with this now, it will be the greatest missed opportunity in the history of the nation.
And may cause the failure of the republic.
Nothing less than that. And so I hope he's aware of it. I know that there are, scores of thousands of people praying for this president every day.
Yes.
And that he's being led by God as a result of that. And I just hope that God steers him. And folks, pray for this country and this president. Pray. God hears your prayers. We're at that moment. I mean, next year is the 250th anniversary of the birth of this nation. I don't know if you got the memo, Sidney Powell, but it's called the Supercentennial. Have you heard that?
No, I hadn't heard that. Not. I missed that memo.
Of course not. It's the Supercentennial. I shared that with the president. He loved the idea. He announced it. They haven't done anything official about it yet, but it's going to be called the Supercentennial because the official term is the semi-quincentennial, which nobody's going to remember. Nobody knows it. But we need to have so the arch needs to be called the Supercentennial Arch, this gigantic arch that we're putting up. It's just a celebratory term. And I think by fiat, just as, President said, this is now going to be called the Gulf of America. I think by fiat, you say, this is our Supercentennial. It's a magnificent, magical moment in our history. And I really think next year is going to be a genuinely great year, a year of revolution, if I may say that, and that something is happening that is far beyond us, that this is God's hand in history, but I am sanguine about where we are and what lies ahead. I know that it's a battle, it is a war, but I really believe God has called us to the war.
I do too. And now
it's we're pretty much out of time. Anything before we go? Anything in the news that you want to comment on? Any thoughts on recent developments?
I want people to take this time over Christmas and New Year's to reflect on the things that are most important to them, their faith, their family, and their friends, and think about ways they can carry the gift of the newborn Christ into the new year and practice it and let the light shine every day through the new year. Not just Christmas Day, not just Christmas Eve, not just New Year's or New Year's Eve, but carry that spirit with us through the new year and let it increase our generosity and kindness to others.
And I want to reiterate, I want to agree with that and say there is no doubt that the only way forward is revival. Revival in faith and of the God of the Bible. It's how we started as a nation. It is the only way we can go forward. It's the only way we can undo the evil that has been done, that we can redeem the evil, is by turning our hearts and souls and everything we have to Jesus, folks, in case you want to know what I think. That is the only way forward. I believe that is God's will. I believe that will happen. Well, Sidney Powell, just wonderful to have you. Thank you for being my guest. Thank you for all you're doing. God bless you, and God bless America, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Eric. Merry Christmas to you too.
I wanted to remind you, we are reaching out to you to partner with us in partnering with CSI, Christian Solidarity International, to free slaves in Sudan. This is just an almost unbelievable opportunity. If you want to give a gift to someone and to say, in your name, we have freed a slave, all the information, you can click on the banner. You'll see it at ericmetaxas.com. Please join us. Please join us. ericmetaxas.com. I'll give you the phone number in a minute. And I want to throw this out. If there is anybody out there who wants to have dinner with me, spend the evening with me, I offer that. Anybody able to give a gift of $15,000 to this cause now, I will make myself available for an evening. We can spend the evening together, a big group, small group, whatever, but I will give my time to that. For anybody willing to give a gift of $15,000, or you can pool together with a group of people, but I'm willing to do that. The phone number is 888-253-3522, 888-253-3522, or go to ericmetaxas.com. This is a tremendous opportunity. Please jump on it. God bless you.
This Christmas, as we celebrate the Super Centennial coming up, Super Centennial 250th, there's no way, better way to support it than by supporting my friend, an American hero, Mike Lindell. He's one of the main sponsors on this program. He's the man behind My Pillow. He put his money where his mouth is. Some of you know this if you've watched the program. He stood up for the country. He was unfairly canceled by the big box stores. So I want us to stand with him. So please go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code ERIC to save big on pillows, sheets, slippers, everything you need for Christmas comfort. You'll sleep great, save big, celebrate freedom with My Pillow. MyPillow.com. Use the code ERIC.